This is happiness, to be everything at once. Be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.
Hey everyone, welcome back to a brand new episode of Mood Prep. My name is Dave Nixon, and today we're going to talk about the word boss, and not necessarily your boss. I don't know wouldn't have a fucking clue who your boss is. And the reason why we're going to talk about the word boss is really look at its origins and how language has quite a significant impact on the way that we view the world and the way that we view reality, etc. And we're just going to use this word as an example. Maybe I'll go on a little bit of a tangent into other examples of it. But the interesting thing around the word boss, and it's even owning a business. And I remember when I was younger, so I started working in the fitness industry when I was 15, and started training people on a traineeship when I was 16, and started managing my first gym at the age of 18. And by that point, I'd already worked, obviously, with the same gym for 3 years, and I got to know the boss quite well. But the thing is that the boss didn't lead. He would do someone. I don't even think he actually knew this. Isn't me trying to badmouth him, but he was quite intimidating, not just for myself, but he would look at trying to influence people's decisions via intimidation. Now, what I've learned as I got later on is that that's literally just a survival mechanism to be able to get to something that he wants to get to. It's not necessarily this evil person that just wants, dumb people around him. It's literally just how, he knows to operate and how his mind runs, etc. So the interesting thing around that, I think it really turned me off this idea of being a boss. And so moving into my own business, I was like, fuck, I never want to be like that, and really looked at leadership and understood what is a good leader and what is a good coaching leader, and did a lot of learning and study and research around that. But even then, leadership, the learnings around leadership doesn't stop or slow down. Like, it's something that I still look into on a weekly basis. It's still I learn on a weekly basis. It's like having that. It's not like necessarily a hunger to learn. It's this savage curiosity that I have, and I think it's very normal and natural. And I think a lot of people have that. I don't think that's a special thing at all. But that savage curiosity allows me to continue to grab a larger perspective on what leadership is, and it was really interesting wanting to make sure that I wasn't the boss. I actually probably went too far and was too passive, right, with making decisions, and almost too liberal on some degree, and learning how to find balance in that, because leadership's a feminine trait and management is a masculine trait. And I say that as in not women and men. I say that from the energies, the feminine energy and the masculine energy. And the feminine energy of leadership is actually because it's with people, and the masculine energy of management is because of management of systems and structures and things, so to speak, rather than people. And this is why we should, as the quote goes, go back to loving people and using things instead of using people and loving things. And that's sit on that for a while if you want, but it's this idea of going, hang on a sec, there's a lot of benefit to leading people and leading people to a better future, and leading people to understanding what the power of now, literally, and also managing the systems in order to get there. So pretty powerful sort of stuff. And the more that I sort of have done research through the origins of words and language and how important our language is to what it is that we do and how we say things, etc., it's like the word boss comes from the Dutch word baas, B-A-A-S, which means master. We started using it as Western world to basically, I think it was a void to use the word master. I mean, it was born through slavery in the Western world, from my understanding. I don't know the exact origin, as in like the date and so on and so forth, but the idea is that the word boss actually means master. And so when we talk about our boss, we're referring to the master that allows us to eat, and they pay us, and if we're good, then we might get a little bit more pay, and they let us know when we can go on toilet breaks. And our boss is so nice to me. My master's so good to me. He's a good master, she's a good master. It's like, even if we go, I've got to talk to the boss at home, it's like your wife or your husband's your master. It's like, what kind of fucking relationship is that? It's like, oh, it's just a word, dude. It's like, yeah, I bet it is. Yeah, I bet you're, really passive with your fucking master. It's just like, this is a word that we could probably look at and really be selective of where we want to choose it. And especially if you look at your, I'm making up a thing here, 60-year-old boss, and go, do I want this person to be my master? Does this person have the answers to the questions that I want answered? It's these kind of things we've got to look at, and maybe that's a yes, but otherwise, this idea of just handing over your responsibility, because so many of us were taught from such a young age that there's always a higher authority that will take care of us, and we shouldn't be hurt, and we shouldn't have hurt feelings, and let's make sure there's always someone around who knows better than we do, whether that be a parent or a caregiver or a nanny or a teacher or whatever. And I'm not saying that you should just let kids run wild, although usually the youngest kid of a big family does end up doing that. But what I am saying is the fact that put some worth behind your own personal power, behind your own, thoughts, decisions, ideas, the things that are uniquely yours that you can bring to the table, and learn to stand in that. Don't just hand it over to the master, right? Not everyone knows better than you for you, and that's a really important thing. And here's the fucking flip side of that. You don't know better for people either. And this is an interesting thing. It goes back to the quote of, please let me help save you or you'll drown, said the monkey to the tree. Monkey to the fish, putting it up a tree. And it's like, think about that. It's like, please let me help you or you'll drown, because that's what would happen to me if I was in that situation. But it's a fish. It's not going to fucking drown. It's made for the water, and it puts it up a tree. And so we do this all the time. And definitely you'll find that bosses are like, that's not how you do it. This is how you meant to do it. You're an idiot. You're not doing this way. I know how it works. It's like, for what? It's not, and if this is worth for us catching ourselves, and for other people seeing it within other people. Oh yeah, that person has done it before. It's like, do you even want what that person has? Then why the fuck are you listening to them? What is it that you want? I don't know what I want. It's like, we'll start with inner peace and figure out if you're just killing your opportunity of actually achieving that because you're handing your power over, right? And this is all work worth inquiring into and leaning into and really sort of considering, because it has heavy dividends. And it goes back to the question. It's like, would you want your kid or your nephew or the next generation to think like this and hand their power over? It's like, oh, well, of course not. It's like, yeah, there's your answer, mate. But it's not that easy, Dave. It's easier said than done. If you're an adult, you're not allowed to say that. It's easier said than. Are you wanting it to be easy? Are you saying that everything you've achieved in your life that's valuable was easier? Like, was that? What are you saying here? I mean, is that just some sort of shitty excuse that you've heard at some point that you're just replaying because you don't want to look at the hard truth that you hand your power over and you're teaching the next generation to do the same thing, to be miserable as you are right now? Now, maybe that's not you, and that's fine, but take from that what you want to take from that, right? And I think there's elements of this within, I can see within people around me, and I would be lying if there wasn't an element of that in how I've lived my life during periods as well. My point there being is that when we hand over our worth and power to somebody else's decision, we are no longer the master of our own life. We hand it over to the boss. It's like, it's a fucking an easy way to get out of responsibility. The problem is, though, is that you're lying to yourself and you're making yourself weak. And maybe it's time to stop making yourself weak. So, on that note, I'm out. Team, thank you so much for tuning in. If you found this podcast beneficial, it would mean the world to me if you'd share it with someone else that you think would also find it beneficial. If you haven't already, jump on Facebook, search Mood Prep Online and join the group there. Otherwise, team, I think that's it for me from today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, until tomorrow, peace and pizza, kick today in the dick, slay the dragon. I'll see you soon.
To be everything at once, beyond